Okay, this is cool beans. Okay, so we have what? Stomberg here, and we are at our chapter one again, Amina's Tarith, book five, believe it or not. Book five. Wow. So we got this lovely grand illustration from the chapter. And we're gonna be going back to Pippin and everyone else, that we've been missing for a while. We have been missing these guys for a while here. So, we're going to go back to Dan for a little bit. And, because we were on uh, Frodo and Sam and Gollum Schmeagol. So we were all up on them or whatever. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna read only 4 pages, not that much. Um, and then I'm gonna call it a night. It's gonna be a long, thing here. What's it? 750. 750. I have it is. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna read about 4 pages. Well, yeah, 750. To page 750 right now. I'm on page 747. 747. In book four, and toward the back. Yeah, we're getting there, people. We're getting there. We're getting there. Um, Let me go ahead and disappear. And yeah, it's a long chapter. It's a very, very long chapter, people. So this is we're gonna be on this chapter for a while. Yes, your Mina Cerise right there. So here we go. Let me go and get one more thing. Hold on. Okay. Pippin looked out from the shelter of Gandalf's cloak. He wondered if he was awake or still sleeping, still in the swift moving dream in which he had been wrapped so long since the great ride began. The dark world was rushing by, and the wind sang loudly in his ears. He could see nothing but the wheeling stars. And away to his right, vast shadows against the sky where the mountains of the south marched past. Sleepily, he tried to reckon the times and stages of their journey, but his memory was drowsy and uncertain. There had been the first ride at terrible speed without a halt. And then in the dawn he had seen a pale gleam of gold, and they had come to the silent town and the great empty house on the hill. And hardly had they reached its shelter when the winged shadow had passed over once again, and men wilted with fear. But Gandalf had spoken soft words to him, and he had slept in the corner. What, Mama? Mama? Tired but uneasy, dimly aware of comings and goings and of men talking and Gandalf giving orders, and then again riding in the night. This was the second, no, the third night since he had looked in the stone. And with that hideous memory, he woke fully and shivered, and the noise of the wind became filled with menacing voices. A light kindled in the sky, a blaze of yellow fire behind dark barriers. Pippin cowered back, afraid for a moment, wondering into what dreadful country Gandalf was bearing him. He rubbed his eyes, and then he saw what it was, the moon rising above the eastern shadows, now almost at the full. So the night was not yet old, and for hours the dark journey would go on. He started and spoke. "Where are we, Gandalf?" he asked. "In the realm of Gondor," the wizard answered. "The land of Honorium is still passing by." There was a silence again for a while. Then, "What is that?" cried Pippin suddenly, clutching at Gandalf's cloak. "Look! Fire! Red fire! Are there dragons in this land? Look, there is another." For answer, Gandalf cried aloud to his horse. "On, Shadowfax, we must hasten. Time is short. See, the beacons of Gondor are alight, calling for aid. War is kindled, See, there is the fire on Amon Din, and flame on Elinglock, and there they go speeding west. Nardal, Arelas, Minrimmel, Kellenhot, and the Hilafrid on the borders of Rohan." But Shadowfax paused in his stride, slowing to a walk, and then he lifted up his head and neighed, and out of the darkness the answering neigh of other horses came, and presently the thudding of hoofs was heard, and 3 riders swept up and passed like flying ghosts in the moon and vanished into the west. The Shadowfax gathered himself together and sprang away, and the night flowed over him like a roaring wind. Pippin became drowsy again, and paid little attention to Gandalf, telling him of the customs of Gondor, and how the lord of the city had beacons built on the tops of outlying hills along both borders of the great range, and maintained posts at these points where fresh horses were always in readiness to bear his errand riders to Rohan in the north, or to Bephalos in the south. "It is long since the beacons on the north were lit," he said, and in the ancient days of Gondor they were not needed, for they had the 7 stones. Pippin stirred uneasily. Sleep again, and do not be afraid, said Gandalf, for you are not going like Frodo to Mordor, but to Minas Tirith, and there you will be safe, as you can be anywhere in these days. If Gondor falls, or the ring is taken, then the Shire will be no refuge. You do not comfort me, said Pippin, but nonetheless sleep crept over him. The last thing that he remembered before he fell into deep dream was a glimpse of high white peaks, glimmering like floating isles above the clouds as they caught the light of the western moon. He wondered where Frodo was, and if he was already in Mordor, or if he was dead. And he didn't know that Frodo, far away, looked on that same moon as it set beyond Gondor, ere the coming of the day. Pippin woke to the sound of voices. Another day of hiding and a night of journey had fleeted by. It was twilight. The cold dawn was at hand again, and chill great mists were about them. Shadowfax stood, steaming with sweat, but he held his neck proudly and showed no sign of weariness. Many tall men, heavily cloaked, stood beside him, and behind him, and the mist loomed a wall of stone. Partly ruinous it seemed. It already, before the night was paused, the sound of hurried labor could be heard. The beat of hammers, clink of trowels, and the creak of wheels. Torches and flares glowed dully here and there in the fog. Gandalf was speaking to the men that barred his way, and as he listened, Pippin became aware that he himself was being discussed. Yea, truly, we know you. Mithridir, said the leader of the men, and you know the passwords of the 7 gates and are free to go forward. But we do not know your companion. What is he? A dwarf out of the mountains in the north? We wish were no strangers in the land at this time, unless they be mighty men of arms in whose faith and help we can trust. I will vouch for him before the seat of Denethor, said Gandalf. And as for valor, that cannot be computed by stature. He has passed through more battles and perils than you have. Ingo, though you be twice his height, and he comes now from the storming of Isengard, of which we bear tidings. A great weariness is on him. I would wake him. His name is Peregrine, a very valiant man, said Ingo dubiously, and the others laughed. Man, cried Pippin, though thoroughly roused. Man, indeed, not. I am a hobbit, and no more valiant than I am a man. Perhaps now, and again, by necessity. Do not let Gandalf deceive you. Many a newer of great deeds might say no more, said Ingo. But what is a hobbit? A halfling, answered Gandalf. Nay, not the one that was spoken of, he added, seeing the wonder in the men's faces. Not he, yet one of his kindred. Yes, and one who journeyed with him, said Pippin. And Boromir, of your city, was with us, and saved me in the snows of the north. And at the last was slain defending me from many foes. Peace, said Gandalf. The news of that grief should have been told first to the father. It has been guessed already, said Ingolf, for there have been strange portents here of late. But pass on now quickly, for the Lord of Minas Tirith will be eager to see any that bear the latest tidings of his son, be he man or hobbit, said Pippin. No service can I offer you to your Lord, but what I can do, I will do. Remembering Boromir the Brave, fare you well, said Ingolf, and the man made way for Shadowfax, and he passed through a narrow gate in the wall. May you bring good counsel to Denethor in his need, and see to us all, Mithridates. Ingolf cried, but you come with tidings of grief and danger, as is your wont, they say, because I come seldom, but when my help is needed. Answered Gandalf, and ask for counsel to you. I will say that you are overlate in repairing the wall of Pelennor. Courage will now be your best. Defense against the storm that is at hand. That and such hope and I bring. For not all the tidings that I bring are evil, but leave your trowels and sharpen your swords. The work will be finished early evening, said Ingolf. This is the last portion of the wall to be put in defense, the least open to attack, for it looks towards our friends of Rohan. Do you know aught of them? Will they answer the summons, think you? Yes, they will come, but they have fought many battles at your back. This road and no road looks towards safety any longer. Be vigilant. Before Gandalf Summerrow, you would have seen a host of foes coming out of Anarene, and no riders of Rohan, and you may yet fare ye well, and sleep not. Gandalf passed now into the wide land beyond the Ramus Ichor. So the men of Gondor called the out wall that they had built with great labor. After Ithilien fell under the shadow of their enemy, for 10 leagues or more, it ran from the mountain's feet, and so back again, closing in its fence the fields of the Pelennor. Fair and fertile townlands on the long slopes, and terraces fall to the deep levels of the Anduin, and its further point from the great gate of the city. Northeastward, the wall was 4 leagues distant, and there, from a frowning bank, it overlooked the long flats beside the river, and men made it high and strong. For at that point, beyond, upon a walled causeway, the road came in from the forts and bridges of Osgiliath, and passed through a guarded gate between battle towers. At its and that was southeastward. There, Anduin, going in a wide knee about the hills of Emin Arden, and South Ithilien, went sharply west, and the outlaw rose upon its very brink, and beneath it lay the quays and landings of the Harlon, or craft that came upstream from the southern fiefs. The towns were rich, with wide tilth and many orchards, and homesteads there were with oats and garner, fold and bill, and many rills rippling through the green, from the highlands down to Anjali. Yet the husbandmen that dwelt there were not many, and most part of the people of Gondor lived in the seven circles of the city, ours in the high vales of the mountain borders, in Losarnoch, or further south in the fair Lebanon, with its 5 swift streams. There dwelt a hardy folk between the mountains and the sea. They were reckoned men of Gondor, yet their blood was mingled, and there were short and swarthy folk, among them his sires came more from the forgotten men, who housed in the shadow of the hills of the dark years, ere the coming of the kings. But beyond, in the great fife of Belfast Falls, dwelt Prince Amaril in his castle of Dol Amroth by the sea. And he was of high blood, and spoke also tall men and proud with sea gray eyes. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and stop there on 751. And we're going to start again when it's now, after Gandalf. I'm going to leave it like that. I don't know. I'm on a drying period, excuse me, people. And that stuff is like, ugh. It's doing this huff and puff and it's wearing itself out, but other than that, I'm better, but I could be over it. Well, anyway, people, going back to the Minas Tirith, right there, you see what they were talking about. Right there, how the ridges were on the mountain, and the gateway that's over there. It's right over that way. Take a point. Right there, tip of my finger is right there. That's where that opening is. Okay, so I will go ahead and let everyone go. It's going to be a long chapter. I'm going to tell you. I'm giving you warning. The other ones were short, but they were basically Sam and Gamgee and Gollum, Smeagol, and Frodo. But then they had the spider. But anyway, this is gonna be a long one, another long one. Because they're in the middle of the momentum of the battle. It's they're getting ready to fight. And tell me another thing. Guys, there's a lot of things going on in the world. It's seeming like it's getting relatable to this world. Think about it. What would you say are political or world events that are so close to what is going on with this book? You may go ahead and discuss it freely if you care to. But please don't go and get into an argument. I know a lot of people will. Politics is kind of a sensitive issue, and people cannot take it. That's why a lot of people don't talk about it. But anyway, people, I hope everyone is having a nice, safe, and careful summer, and hopefully things will get better. I know some things happen, and we lost a lot of good people. They're who were from the community, and and I hope that we can all learn from this and be careful and know a little bit. I mean, know a little bit about where you're going, and I know I do. When I travel, I Google, and even if it's what do you call it, local city or a city that's out of state, I learn about where I'm going before I go. That way, I can understand what I need to understand to deal with to travel over, around and whatever else. But know the lay of the land. Know the weather. What are you going to wear there? That's why you always look at the weather. Um, but anyway, guys. Oh, I'm tired and I have lots to do tomorrow. Hopefully it will happen, but I'm not going to be happy now. Um, yeah, stay safe, take care. Make sure you don't do any harm to yourself or anyone else. Just take care. Later, people. Good night.